Look around, and you immediately confront the deepest tension of human existence. One person is born into luxury and perfect health, while another inherits only struggle and pain. One arrives with the intellect of a genius, another with severe limitations. To make sense of these drastic disparities, society has historically leaned on two dominant models to explain the shape of a human life. Both of them rely on a flawed, one-dimensional geometry, the straight line. We live in a universe governed by immutable, balanced natural laws. When you consider that absolute precision, the idea that a human life is suddenly arbitrarily created out of nothing and then permanently destroyed breaks every logical rule we observe in nature. This diagram shows the standard materialist view of existence. It draws a definitive line starting at the womb and abruptly ending at the tomb. But physics proves that energy and matter are never destroyed. They only change form. A model that ends in total destruction contradicts the basic mechanics of reality. Biological heredity attempts to explain our starting conditions along this line, but the math fails. If physical genetics were the sole driver of consciousness, traits would align perfectly. Instead, historical geniuses often have entirely average offspring, and honest citizens routinely raise criminals. The physical form transfers, but the moral and intellectual spirit does not strictly transfer with it. The theological model offers a second line. Here, an entirely new soul is created at birth, lives one brief physical span, and then that same line stretches infinitely into an eternal afterlife. Judging an eternity of existence based on a single, short, and highly unequal physical lifespan implies an architect who is arbitrary and unbalanced. Neither linear model provides the necessary dimensions for cumulative evolutionary progress. To understand the actual mechanics of human existence, we have to discard the straight line entirely and look for a different shape. This diagram illustrates a closed loop. If nature doesn't move in straight lines, you might assume it moves in a circle. But a flat, two-dimensional circle traps energy in a loop of static, zero forward progression. The true shape of universal motion requires a third dimension. From the arrangement of leaves on a redwood tree to the changing of the seasons, growth always repeats a cycle, but it spirals outward and upward. It builds upon its past. Scale up to the macrocosmos, and the geometry holds. This image of the spiral nebula M51 reveals that entire solar systems and worlds are forged through this exact three-dimensional spiraling motion. Nature operates as a unified system, where the same laws that organize a galaxy also organize a cell. If every other manifestation of life, from the tides to the seasons, follows a pattern of rhythmic return and advancement, then human consciousness is simply the next expression of that same universal geometry. This translates the cosmic spiral into the law of rebirth. It is the spiritual equivalent of the Earth's orbit. We emerge from a period of rest, not to repeat the same day, but to begin a new growth cycle further along time's path. Think of it as a cosmic schoolhouse. Each physical life acts as a single day of instruction. Death is simply the intervening night, a necessary period of rest where the spirit processes and assimilates the experiences of the day before, entering the next grade. This diagram shows exactly how that progression works on an axis. Through the law of consequence, our past actions mathematically dictate the environments and challenges of our present life. We return to the exact same coordinates of conflict, but at a slightly higher elevation, equipped with the assimilated knowledge of the past. This requires the constant decay of the physical body. A rigid, unchanging form cannot accommodate an expanding consciousness. The soul must shed its outdated physical vehicle to build a more refined, upgraded instrument for the next cycle. The spiral model resolves the riddle of inequality through the lens of cosmic accounting. Each life's specific challenges represent the mathematical liquidation of a past score, a clearing of the record that allows the soul to advance. To trace this spiral back to its origin, we look at the process of involution. The human spirit begins its descent into physical matter, completely unformed, inexperienced, and essentially blank. The heavy density of material existence provides friction. Through the intense pressure and pain of multiple physical incarnations, that raw spirit is sheared and polished, extracting dynamic soul power from the friction itself. If the spirit remained in a pristine, formless state, it would never encounter the resistance necessary to grow. The severe, restrictive limitations of a dense physical body force the spirit to develop independent will and intellect just to survive. By grinding against the material world over thousands of cycles, a blank, unconscious spark of life transforms into a fully realized, conscious creator. Every human being acts as the primary architect of their own future. We are active participants in a system where current thoughts and deeds serve as the blueprints for our next environment, bypassing the perceived limits of biological heredity. When you view your life through the geometry of the spiral, daily hardships lose their sting. Seemingly insurmountable obstacles reveal themselves as highly calibrated stepping stones, specifically placed to develop whatever faculty you currently lack. Humanity is actively climbing a vast cosmic ladder. With every challenge we meet, and with every conscious turn of the spiral, we ascend closer to ultimate perfection.